Thanks again. My name is Pete Newbig. I'm CEO of VPM Solutions, and we're talking about hiring top producers today. So I'm going to go run through this really quick, but why is it important to hire successfully? Well, we all run small businesses, and if you hire the wrong person, it will dramatically impact your business. When I was at Empire, I had 30 people. If I hired just one or two wrong people, it would affect my business dramatically. Google, they can get away with hiring a few bad people. They have thousands of team members. When you hire bad people and they make up a larger percentage of your workforce, what happens is the bad team stays and the good team leaves. And I've heard this before, but I never thought that it was true until it happened to me. I had a great team member. Her name was Ashley. She would come into the to work on time, leave late if she had to, leave on time when she did. She got her work done. She was, a top producer. I had Dana come to work late. She had a lot of challenges in her life that brought into the business. Her work was not done correctly. If it was done on time, it never was done on time. She would take days off, call in sick all the time. And one day, Ashley came to my office and handed me her letter of resignation. And basically, what she said is, my standards are higher than your standards, and I'm leaving you because you have not let Dana go yet. You've letting her, bring this whole team down. And that was my aha moment. I'm like, okay, not only do I have to hire the right people, but I have to get rid of the bad folks. By hiring the right people, it allows us as the business leaders to level up, right? So when I started my property management firm, I was, basically doing everything. I was portfolio based. I had all the hats on. As I hired people and the good people that, they do their job, they hit their KPIs, they're your A performers. Now all of a sudden, those are hats that you can take off, and you don't have to micromanage that team because they're good, they're aligned with what you're looking for, and allows you to eventually become the CEO or even exit your company and hire a CEO, right? The last hat is CEO, and then you just have the owner hat. So hiring good team allows you to level up. So there, most of us here have we actually have a bunch of systems for everything. We got an onboarding system, an offboarding system, a move-in system, a move-out system. But the one system that I find that most people don't have is a hiring system. When they have to hire, they just ask people, "Do you know anybody?" Or how many of you out there have done what I've done and just hire friends, family, or hey, do you know anybody? And I hire people that work for me, their friends and family. At one point, I had Lisa who working for me. I also had one of her brothers, her sister-in-law, her neighbor, and her sister all working for me. Were these the top performers? Not really. They were just bodies, and it was easy because I didn't have a system. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the system. And the system that I've created is, first of all, you have to have core values. We're going to talk about each one of these separately. But you have to have core values. Your core values is the ticket to get on the boat, right? And so that is the type of person you're looking for. What are your core values? What are the characteristics that you're looking for in people? The job description is kind of the instructions of the seat on the boat. So the core values get you on the boat. Now I have to know how to operate that seat. So we have to have a clear job description. And a job description that says answer phones, all of the duties signed by management is not a job description. Then I have to have the personality profile that is in alignment with that job description. Right person, core values, right seat, personality profile. And then I have to make sure that everybody's rowing in the right direction. And that's what the KPIs come in. So before we even have a hiring process, we actually have to have these prerequisites down in our company. So let's just talk about each of these really quick. Core values. This is the fundamental belief in an organization, and it determines the type of person you want in your organization. Who do you want in the foxhole with you? What is the type of person, right? So example is at Empire, our core values, we call them dots, right? Dedicated professionals who believe in the brand and do the right thing always. Provide customers a wow experience. We achieve things together as a team mindset, and then we're self-improvement was the last one. So those were the type of people that we were looking for in our organization, right? So you have these main core values and then you have these sub core values, right? VPM, it's WHIP, right? Wow experience, innovative, professional, and positive. Right, those are those type of people we're looking for. But we also have these sub values. Like for us in VPM, like we have to have thick skin. We make fun of each other. Even people even make fun of me. Like so, if you can't laugh at yourself and laugh at others, then that's not a good type of trait for us, right? We want somebody who fits in culturally. So the core values is really the type of person you're looking for, and it creates an invisible manager that holds people accountable to a common set of beliefs and participates in every action and outcome. So let me give you an example of this. Right. An example is we had dedicated professionals who believe in the right thing, and who believe in the brand, do the right thing always. And that's my dog protecting me. Sorry about that. Brooklyn. So we had Jessica and we hired her. And so believe in the brand, do the right thing always is integrity. When we hired her, her KPI was getting so many leases, people on a lease, right? And so when it hit that percentage, we gave a bonus. Because of our core values was integrity, we hired somebody with integrity. She never circumvented like the process to get the end result. And so that's what I mean by an invisible manager. Right. So once you have these core values, and a lot of us, we've created core values and then we wrote them on and we put them in a poster and they're on a wall, never to be heard from again. Your core values should act as a filter in your recruiting process. They should attract the talent who share your company's core values, and they should be talked about in your, at least in your company meetings. But in every meeting, we talk about our core values because we want to make sure like that everybody understands core values are pushed from the top down, not from the bottom up. So if you do not have core values in your organization, you have them. You're just not the one who created the core values. They got pushed up from your team members. So, for example, if people come in late all the time to your organization, guess what? Your core value is that you can show up late. You may not like it, but you're not doing anything about it, and you're not pressing down that we're dedicated professionals. Then that was what happens is the team creates the core values, and this is one thing that I truly believe that should be the leadership should create the core values and push it down. So the next thing is we have to create a job role. So you have to be detailed here. You have to understand what that role requires and what needs to be done, right? And so if you hire somebody and you're not sure what the job role does, but you just want to hire somebody because you were told by somebody else that you need somebody, and if you don't know what they're supposed to do, then how the heck do they know what they're supposed to do? So every role in your organization should have a defined job description. And obviously, the better that you understand what that job description is, the easier it's going to be to find somebody for it, and the easier it's going to be for them to understand what it is that they have to do. And if you're not exactly sure, because maybe you're a single person or just have a couple of people, the best way to come up with a time with a job role is two ways. One is a time study. So write down all the things that you do over a course of a week or two, and then determine all of the things that you don't like doing or that you're not good at, and then create a job role from there. The second is give them a process, right? So I had somebody who ran the lease renewal process. I had somebody who ran the, make ready process. So I had somebody who ran the collections and evictions process. So you can give them a full process. Instead of giving them pieces of a bunch of processes, give them the full process. It's much easier to build a job description for the full process than it is for just a piece of the process. Personality profile, I teach a whole course on this, but basically use something. I like Disc. It's cheap, it's free. Actually, I think it's free. It's easy to understand, but each job role should have a personality profile attached to it. And so here's a couple of examples, like a BDM, their ID in the DISC profile. So when I look for a salesperson, I'm looking for somebody who has a disc that matches that salesperson ID. A property accountant is a C, and a maintenance coordinator could be a CS or a CD. It really depends on how you run your business. Do you want somebody who is more sincere or somebody who's more decisive? Do you want somebody who's more people focused or more process focused? So having an understanding of personality profile, whether you use, what is it, predictive index or DISC or one of the other ones, before you hire somebody, make sure you understand what that job role requires as far as the type of personality to fulfill the job role. All right, KPIs becomes the next thing, right? So the the core values gets me the right person on the boat. The job description is the instructions to the seat. The person I profile is the right personality for the seat. Um, and then the job description that they teaches them how to operate the seat. And now the KPIs is which way to row, right? And so here's the thing, if you do not have KPIs, what happens is you have no way to measure if somebody's doing a good job. And more importantly, they have no idea if they're doing a good job, right? We all had report cards when we were in high school. My sister liked to get hers. She did good grades. I didn't like to get mine so much. I didn't have such great grades, but at least we knew where we stood. And what happens is if you can't measure by numbers, you end up measuring by feeling. I'll give you a good example of this. Many of you know Leon. Leon's been with VPM for a few years now. He was with me at Mind, and he was with me at Empire. So Leon's been working with me for many, many years. When I first brought him over to VPM, I said to Ross, my co-founder, I said, "Hey, I don't know if Leon is the right guy. I don't think he's working out." And Ross just laughed at me because he's like, "Let me ask you something. What's Leon's job description?" I go, I really don't have a job description. He goes, "What's his KPIs?" I'm like, "He doesn't have KPIs." He goes, "Well," he goes, "Why don't you practice what you preach?" And what we did when we did a deep dive, we found out that Leon was doing three jobs. So he had like three job roles, and he had, we finally gave him some KPIs, and we found out is he was really excelling in one job, he was doing fair in another job, and he was doing poor in a third job. And I was focusing on the job that he was doing poor at. What we realized is his disc profile was not good for that third job. I took that job over and we gave him KPIs for the other two jobs. And eventually, over time, we just gave him the one job that he really excels at. Today, Leon is crushing his KPIs. He's crushing his numbers. Got great customer satisfaction and NPS scores. And so that's an example of managing by feeling, not giving them the right direction, right? And so it is also important to keep this score because what happens is your team wants to hit the score, like they want to hit the score, and so um, you can also move the number of the KPI, right? So you don't have to keep the same KPI. You can change them out. You can move the number over time. Example, Jessica, we were at like 30% of residents were on a lease. Well, her goal was to get to 96% or 92%, sorry. But we didn't go from 30 to 92%. We went from 30% to 40% to 45% to 50%. And each month we increased it. And then what I love to do is I love to create a bonus structure around the KPI. So now that's your foundation, right? So you have the foundation, you have a understanding of a job description, you have the foundation of your core values, your job description, and your KPIs and your disc. So the next thing is job posting. What most people, a lot of people make a mistake on the job posting that they just kind of put in like, here's who we are as a company, and here's the 64 bullet points or the 10 bullet points, and then sign up now. And if you go to like Indeed or any like or these online jobs, you'll notice that all of these job postings look the same. So how do you stand out? But more importantly, how do you attract the people that are going to be top performers in your organization? And listen, just because they might be a top performer in your organization doesn't mean they'll be a top performer in my organization. It really depends on how you run your business. Again, it goes back to those core values. So a job post, you have three sections. Um, you can make it a fourth section if you want to put KPIs in there. But section one, you want to create either some questions or you want to build comments that are connecting people with your core values, right? Are you a dedicated professional? Do you like to, um, you know, uh, do you do you like a job where, you get it's hard like do you like a job where it's a hard to do, we work hard, we play hard, it's super fun, but it's hard. Like whatever your core value is, create questions. Chat GPT is a great help with this. Then condense as many bullet points as you can, right? No one wants to read 48 bullet points, but if you have like 4 or 5 bullet points, this is the job posting. The job description, once they get hired, you go over the job description with them. But the posting is kind of a look into the job description, right? Are you attracting the right person? Do they have the right disc profile? Are they interested in, you know, what the main points of the job, so to speak? And so condense as many bullet points you can, and then finish up with like disc questions, right? So if we're looking for somebody who's detailed, you ask, are you detailed? Or do you not like change? Are you policy? Do you like, so you start asking questions based on their core values and based on their personality profile, which now this is going to attract the right type of person. All right, so this is the hiring process. So I'm a big fan, especially in property management and real estate, that you don't need to hire people with a lot of experience. As a matter of fact, my my experience has been when I hire people with a bunch of experience, I couldn't teach the old dog new tricks, and I ended up not working out. So I like teaching people with no experience, but I want them to have my core values, the right disc profile, and do they, can they learn? Are they trainable? Are they teachable? Right? Are they coachable? In uh, in his book, Mark Murphy talks about that 89% of higher failures. So they did this study, 20,000 plus jobs, and when they failed, and they found out that 89% of failures were attitude based, not skill based. Only 11% were skill based. At VPM, we actually hire people without experience, with the right skills, with the right, sorry, with the right attitude. Other than our developers, we are looking for skill. So there is going to be, sometimes there's just going to be an exception to the rule. Our process is this, right? So when we look at resumes, we are looking at skills, experience, education. Do they have the bare minimums? Do they, what kind of skills do they have? It doesn't have to be specific to property meld, but do they have other skills that that might transfer into our position. If you're hiring remote, English and internet speed become paramount. So have they taken an English test? Have they do what is their internet speed? The next thing that we do is we ask people to take tests, or if you're on VPM, to take certifications. Now, why is this important? Sometimes I'll have them take even a certification that might not even have anything to do with the job. Like for example, at VPM, everybody has to take Property Management 101 certifications. Why am I doing that? Right, well, that's who we service, so I want them to learn a little bit about property management. But the main thing is this is red tape. I am finding out how much do they want this job. If you're unwilling to take a few exams and you can't pass them, then that's not somebody that I want in my organization. You don't want the job that bad, and you just want the easy button. Well, for us, we don't do the easy button. That's not one of our core values, right? We do hard things. We do things that that are not easy. And so, if you are unwilling to take a certification or any kind of test, there's a bunch of other softwares out there, or online, that you can create your own tests, or you can basically have them take a test and they exam out. For reason why they exam out is like, okay, they're not going to be property manager ready to go, but they have the capacity to learn. So having a certification means that they're going to spend time and effort, and taking the test means that at least they have the ability to learn. They have the ability to understand. Then after that, if they do not take the certification, they just fall out, right? So I try to cast as big a wide net as possible. I invite some people based on their resume, based on if I think they're going to be a good fit. People apply. And the first thing we do is we say, take these certifications. We give them a time frame to do that. If they don't do the certifications within that time frame, we decline them, and we only move with the people who've taken that certification. Then we ask them to take a disc if they have not taken the disc test. If they are not a if they are not a match for what we're looking for, and they don't have experience in that job role. For example, let's say somebody has experience as accountant, but they're not a high C. If they didn't have the experience and didn't do it for years, I would just get rid of them, honestly. But because they have experience in it, then I'm like, okay, well, even though they don't have the right disc profile, they're they obviously have learned how to work in that seat, even though they don't have the right disc. If they don't do the disc, they get moved, they get cut from the right. Now notice I have not interviewed anybody yet. So we have not interviewed anybody. We're just asking them take these certifications. We're just asking them do this disc test. You don't have to be on VPM to do this. You can, if people have resumes, you can literally just, review the resumes, take out a few and just say, hey, congratulations, you moved over to the next deal. I need you to go here, log into this deal and take this certification. Hey, I need you to take this disc. We used to send a disc test on an Excel spreadsheet back in the day, right? Now, if the certifications come back and they have the right disc, or we can move forward, the next thing we do is a self-interview. So the self-interview, we're just going to have a few questions. I'm going to talk about this here in a second. If they do the self-interview and it looks like it's a good fit, right? So what we do is we then take the self-interview, we transcribe it, throw it in GPT, and we make it score based on our core values. And then, of course, we're looking at the pay rate. All right. So the self-interview, we ask 3 to 6 questions. They're all about the behavior of the question. And the questions typically go like this. All right. So let's say our core value is provide for customers the wow experience. So one of the questions might be, tell me about a time when you dealt with a difficult customer. Now, notice that's all we said. We didn't say, and how you solved it. Right. So we just leave the question hanging. And we basically create questions based on our core values, based on behavior, and we are looking to see how they answer those questions. We then throw that into ChatGPT, and then we say, does this align with our core values? Does this person align with our core values based on those answers? All right, so here's some bad interviews. So now that we did a self-interview, they look like they're a good fit. Now we're going to do an interview. Okay. So we're really doing an interview to verify, the core values and to make sure they're a good fit. So here are some bad interview questions. All right. Tell me about yourself, or what are your strengths and weaknesses? These are too vague, too well known, and people they have a canned answer for it. It's not going to give you any insight. Tell me, Tom, you had a conflict with a coworker and how you solved it. The end, how you solved it is basically leading them to answer how they solved the conflict. You'll be surprised how people are so open and honest when you just leave it hanging. And then, what do you do for fun? If you could be any animal, what would you be? These give no insight. There's no validating data on this. All right. The coachability question. So you might want to ask specific skill-based questions, and you might want to ask, some additional attitude questions when you have a meeting with them, an interview with them. By the way, we do recommend that you that you record the interview so that you can go back and listen to it, because sometimes you miss things. But should be the final question. What was your boss's name? Please spell their full name. This is a psychological deal. They believe that you're going to contact their previous boss. If they're still working, then you get the one before that. All right. Tell me what Pete Newbig was like as a boss. This gives a hint into what this person is looking for in a boss. Right. Oh, so Pete was very demanding. He was always nitpicking. Right. Now they don't like a micromanager. And if you're a micromanager, then hey, they're not going to be a good fit. All right. What is something you could have done to enhance your relationship with Pete? This allows us to what extent the candidate feels personally accountable. High performers are more critical of their own performance. High performers are also going to answer in first person, I's and we's, not they and thems and you's, right? So they're going to also give you personal experiences. Well, something that you could have done. Well, I could have done X, Y, and Z, right? If they say I can't think of anything, then that's a low performer, right? I can't think of anything. Then it's just a low performer answer. When I talk to him, what he's going to say is your strengths are, right? So you always do strengths before weaknesses because people feel less guarded. And then you final up. We all have areas we can improve. Tell me your weaknesses. And then this is the most critical step. You've built a lot of you've built a rapport, and you'll be shocked at the level of honesty that you get from this question. All right. So this is what we have a 10-point scoring system when we score people. So core values and DISC are probably the two biggest ones as far as percentage wise. That they're all weighted a little bit differently, but we look at core values, their English proficiency, especially if it's a remote, DISC, skill set, certifications, compensation, is it within the range? Responsiveness is a big one for us. If I'm sending something out, how quickly are they responding? Typically, if they respond within 24 hours, we're happy with that. We do look at experience, education, and work environment. That's the your internet speed test. So these are some resources here that I've used. I'm a big fan of the Hiring for Attitude book, which is right here. Big fan of that one. And I think we have, yeah, we got a 4 or 5 minutes. I know I ran through that really quick. If anybody has any questions, I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And if not, we're gonna let you all go. Right. I don't think I see anything here. I must either I put everybody to sleep. Um, let's see. Rosie, where do you usually post your vacancies? So I'm not a property manager anymore, so I don't post my vacancies anywhere. But if you're asking like where do I post my jobs, I post all of mine on VPM right now. And then the other place I do, if I'm looking for US based folks, then for US based folks, I post them on LinkedIn or I actually hire a recruiter, to be honest with you. For my developers, I hire a recruiting firm that specializes in development. For back office work, it's all VPM. And for my marketing strategist, which was the last US based hire I did, we actually put it out there on Indeed and on LinkedIn. Hopefully that answers your question. Awesome. All right. Um, and you can tell Rosie, your property manager, where do you post your vacancies? I love it. Cool. Anybody else have any questions, or I can give you back a couple minutes of your day? Any more book recommendations? I think there's three books that I like. Hiring for Attitude is the one that I'm really diving into right now. Um, Who Not How is another great book, and where that's next on our list of reading it and having my recruiters really focus on that. And then Top Grader, I've not read yet. I've read Hiring for Attitude and I've read Who Not How, but Top Grader I have not read. It's a massive book. I own it and I've slept on it a couple of times, but I have not learned anything through osmosis just yet. So that's the next one after Who Not How. We're always looking to learn here. You're welcome. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time. Uh, Appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy day to spend a little bit of time with me. Thank you so much. And if you are if you are looking for remote team members, we do offer the Gold Glove service. So if you do not have the time to build this stuff, we can build it for you. There is a fee for that. We also have the White Glove service where we work with you and we use the system that we've created to guide you and hold your hand through the hiring process. So if you're looking for back office workers, SEO people, marketing people, property accountants, maintenance coordinators, anything like that, we can help. If you're looking for, specific developers or anything like that, then we're probably not the right spot. All right, guys. No other questions. I'm going to give you 1 minute back. See you, everybody.